I want to talk to you about aliens.
Yeah.
UFOs, UAPs.
I know.
The disclosure we've seen in Congress recently. It's confusing and upsetting a lot of Americans because there's something happening. There are unidentified aerial phenomena.
Will he say something? Hello and welcome back to Ruben Uncut. Today I'm going to be reacting to the podcast where Logan Paul interviews Donald Trump, which, like, even the sentence coming out of my mouth is a lot. And it's not like the Tim Pool thing where, like, it's short, like mercifully short. Logan Paul got him to sit down for it's like 58 minutes or something. I mean, some of it's like a preview that frankly I might skip or edit out. I don't know. But my client called off today, so I have no work. So this is gonna be my day. Is recording this, editing it, and putting it out for you. Yeah, I'm here with a breakfast burrito, and by that I mean a burrito I'm eating for breakfast, not an actual breakfast burrito. And got me some got me some vape. Gonna sit back, try to relax into this. Let's see what we got going on. For those that don't know, for those that don't know, I was about to say, for those who don't know who Donald Trump is, but I really should say, for those who don't know who Logan Paul is, which if you're an adult, you might not. But Logan Paul is a douchebag who is annoyingly good at wrestling. That's how I would describe him. He's technically a wrestler now, I think. But yeah, this is going to be long, so let's not waste any more time.
This is going to be great.
I think so too.
This all my life. My whole life. Anyway, hi fellas, how you doing?
How are you, boss?
How's your brother? Good?
Yeah, he's excellent.
You have a good relationship with him, right?
With Jake?
Yeah.
We do now. But it's not always been like that.
It's always been, yeah, I can imagine.
But it's my brother. Yeah, it's good.
It's good.
Taylor Tyson, we got.
Yeah, right?
Who you got?
When is that gonna be?
November. It got rescheduled.
Well, look, Mike was fantastic, but you know, Mike's a little older now.
Yeah.
And you guys can fight.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that.
I have never been rooting for Mike Tyson so hard in my entire life. I really hope that Mike Tyson annihilates Logan Paul.
But you guys can really fight, legitimately fight.
Thank you, sir.
At first I said, it's so amazing because I always thought like a UFC guy or a top, even contender would be able to win at 75 years old.
You think?
But it doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
The clock is still the clock.
Yeah. I figured that out with Floyd as well.
It does help, though, if you've maintained an exercise and workout regime for most of your life. Just so you know, Trump, just so you know, you could be in a lot better shape if at some point you had decided to relentlessly train like Mike Tyson has.
Yeah, how about that, right?
I don't know.
I mean, it was,
Hold on. See, Prime over here, for those that don't know Logan Paul, Prime is the energy drink that he shills. And recently they discovered forever chemicals in his drink. So that's fun. Have fun with ruining your testicles, Prime drinkers.
I mean, it was even.
Yeah, which
you would
shouldn't
have
make...
thought he would have won that fight.
That's what I thought.
That was your baby.
Yeah.
Some people still think he did win
This
that
is for you
fight.
guys.
Oh, no way. We got gifts.
Oh, nice.
So for a lot of money, this thing.
Oh, no way. Oh, thank you, President.
Just split it up. Here's
amazing.
Logan Paul's too excited about getting the swag.
for you. This is
Is this your mugshot?
can you believe it?
You're a gangster.
This is what we're reduced to.
No way.
Should we put him on now?
Yeah.
That's
Isn't it crazy?
That's amazing.
And it's
I do not know who the gentleman is with Logan Paul. This is a very interesting room. Who chose this room? Is this Logan Paul's room? Did the president choose this room? I don't watch Logan Paul, so I don't know.
cells Well, Elvis had one, Frank Sinatra had one,
This shirt.
but we've eclipsed them. A long time ago, we've
Donald Trump just said that he eclipsed Frank Sinatra.
This is crazy.
It's pretty cool. Isn't it cool?
I have to be honest, I'm
It's
jealous.
actually, you know, I'm not sure if I love it or not, but
No, it's
it is
good.
what it is.
It happened, and might as well monetize it.
Well, Mr. President, people surely love it. They love the picture. They rallied behind it. They're rallying behind you now.
Well, they
More
are.
than
Once again, I don't know who this guy with the beard is, but I hate him already. Is that... Wait, holy shit. Is that picture on the wall meant to be Trump? What the fuck? Whose room is this? Where are they?
ever.
And you know, we had the biggest fundraising, I think, ever for any candidate ever anywhere in the world in the last 8 or 9 days. Hundreds of millions of dollars, and too bad it couldn't have been done for
I really don't want to spend time fact checking that, but I find it hard to believe. Could be true though.
other reasons, but they viewed the cases being so corrupt and so ridiculous. You know, every one of the legal pundits, and you know, they're great guys. When you look at Dershowitz, the whole group, you know, that whole group of people, Andy McCarthy, Jonathan Turley, Greg Jarrett, every one of them, they came out and they said, there's not even a case here. There's no case. And
Lies. Lies. You can't get an indictment if there's not a case. But it's literally the thing that indictments are for. 2, civilian jury. Civilian jury in a court system not operated by the DOJ. It's like he's not going to back up any of these claims.
when they saw the jury instructions, when they saw all the things that happened, and it's not like anybody's a friend of mine. Mark,
Some of the jury first of all, the jury instructions, many of them benefited Trump. Second of all, his lawyers had to agree to everyone who got put on the jury. That's how jury selections work, just so you know.
Mark Levin is an example. They couldn't believe it. So unfair. You know, it's a very unfair thing. And because of that, the fundraising numbers and the polls, but the
What he's doing is he's poisoning the well. He wants you to look on the case that has just convicted him with as much bad faith as possible. That's all he's literally doing. He's not presenting real evidence. He's making vague gestures towards what he considers evidence.
fundraising, that's sort of like a poll anyway,
Yeah,
right? When
yeah.
you get right down to it. But the fundraising numbers went, I don't think there's ever been that much money raised that quickly.
You've become a martyr of
Hundreds of
sorts.
millions of
Yeah, it's
dollars,
insane. $140 million in May that you raised.
Just
35
out of-
million in just hours after the verdict.
Yeah, 58 million within a few hours, and that was in small donations, like $71 something average. And over a period of a week, we even went to San Francisco. Now, not supposed to be. That's the belly of the beast, right?
Rare
Supposedly.
visit.
But they had thousands of people on the street. It was so positive, and they raised $12 million. The tech guys at one of the houses, David, fantastic people, and they were like, they gave me a lot of money. They've never been into doing that.
Okay, just so everyone knows, he just admitted that a big tech guy who he seems to not be naming gave him a bunch of money. Maybe he'll name him in a minute.
And I think it helps that Biden is just so bad. He is so bad. He is the worst president.
By most measurable accounts, Biden is actually above average in terms of presidents, in terms of legislation passed, in terms of things he's accomplished. His policies, it's worth noting that he's calling Biden bad, but there are several key policies of his that are identical to Biden's. In fact, Biden's statements and everything Biden is doing towards the border aligns with Donald Trump. Biden actually finished building part of the wall. The wall itself has not been completed because it's an absurd project, but he did actually fill in parts of the wall. Biden just made this will probably be challenged in court the same way it was challenged in court when Donald Trump did it, but Biden has just instituted limits on the number of refugees, aka asylum seekers, that can enter the country. It's interesting. The border has become a huge issue, and the Republicans are really going to try and push that Biden is doing nothing and that only Donald Trump can save the border. But this is going to be the biggest lie coming into this next election. Biden is actually pretty hard on the border. Biden is not the reason that there are so many people trying to cross. The idea that we have an open border is a myth. If we had an open border, nothing that is going on right now would be well enough documented. We wouldn't have documentation of illegal crossings and encounters with border patrols, because if we had an open border, there would be no border patrols. What do you think the term open border means?
President in the history of our country. So that helps too.
You should make a diss track on him.
Yeah, we'll do something. We'll do something.
I actually wanted
Dear God, please do not release a Donald Trump diss track.
to start there.
Go ahead.
Because one thing that I just can't seem to wrap my head around it is, you know, you got these felony convictions and a lot of them, like more than Al Capone, right? And there was an uprising and people showed you their support.
34 convictions, and his total time in prison, which he may not even do, is still 5 years less than what Hunter Biden is going to get for buying a gun on crack.
With their donations. And a lot of people are saying it points out that actually the unjust nature of America's justice system. So my question is, like, if that is your belief, if that is their belief, why do you have the desire to give your time and energy to a country or a system that's trying to take you down?
So I ran twice. I did much better the second time than the first time. And if I didn't, I wouldn't have done this. But we had it going like this.
He still lost the popular votes both times. He's just amassed a cult of personality around himself.
Country has never been going before. It was really good. Now it's really bad. The worst border in history.
The problems at the border are more related to what's happening in other parts of the world and have very little to do with America. The truth of the matter is that there is currently no policy in place in the United States government that makes the border worse. The Democrats and the Republicans are all trying to stop the flow of immigrants that are coming across the border. I could get into how there's technically a legal difference between asylum seekers and illegal immigrants. But does it even matter? To the average voter, it won't.
History, the worst inflation, I think, in history. I think the history of the country, the people are getting decimated by it.
This is not the worst inflation ever. Okay, hold it. Let's find this out. Let's find this out. Worst period for inflation in American history. The highest inflation this comes from the MadisonTrust.com. The highest inflation in U.S. history was in 1917, when annual inflation reached a rate of 17.84%. The inflation rate following 3 years from 1918 to 1920 rounded out the top 4 years with the highest rates in U.S. inflation rate history. That's significantly higher than now. Like, that's wildly higher than now. So he has no historical basis for his claims.
All very all something you can fix. You can fix it fast. We were energy independent. We're going to be energy dominant very soon. All these things were happening. And then we had a terrible result in an election. And what happened was disgraceful, and we can't ever let it happen again. But
whoa, hold on. We had terrible results in an election. It was disgraceful. We can never allow it to happen again. Literally, what he just said is, other people voted for the other guy. And that's terrible. That's the worst thing that can ever happen, is that people don't vote for me. Oh my God.
We have a little expression. It's right on that hat. Make America great again. And we can do that.
Which is also something the American Fascist Party said in the 1930s.
Make America great again. And this guy is not going to do it. This guy's destroyed our country. When you allow 15, 16, 17, they have no idea what the gotaways. Million people coming out of jails, coming out of mental institutions, insane asylum.
So here's an interesting fact. For a long period of time, the majority of people coming across the border were migrant workers. That used to be the #1 type of person illegally crossing the border. under the starting, I believe it was under George W. Bush and into the Obama administration, this started to change to become primarily unaccompanied children and families. What this means is that we went from having a majority of migrant workers coming to immigrate to actually a majority of asylum seekers. His statements here on people getting out of prison or mental institutions are interesting because the largest percentage of, like, he doesn't have a basis to actually make that claim. Like, he has never presented hard data for this. The other day, someone commented on one of my older videos that as the president, wouldn't he have this information? Well, the reality is A, where would he get that information? Who would be documenting that? And also, he said those things before he was ever president. He said that before he was president. It was one of the things he said when he came down that escalator and made his run against Hillary. He has been saying this long before he could ever have had that data. He says it because it works. It is a fear tactic. He wants to make you question who these immigrants are. The reality is that the vast number of these immigrants are coming to us now because of various problems that Central and South America are facing. Now, to be fair, the immigration rates have also increased with people coming from other countries that are also experiencing problems and then trying to enter America through the southern border. These things do not verify whether or not they came in from a mental institution. We have no strong evidence that these people are prisoners. In fact, due to the nature of some of the collapses in some of these countries, it's possible that some of these people could be political prisoners, if any of them are prisoners at all. Normally, America would make room for political prisoners, especially from failed socialist states like Venezuela. So try to think harder about this. He's being very disingenuous.
The state asylums all over the world, the mental institutions, they're at the lowest levels. They've been at it for years.
These are wild claims. Wild claims. Wild.
They're going to be totally empty. And you have terrorists coming into our country.
The idea that people would empty mental institutions into America when mental institutions are a business that make money is stupid.
We're going to be paying a big price, and we're going to solve the problem, and we're going to solve it relatively quickly. But we have other problems, too, with energy, with inflation. He's been a disaster as a president. He's the worst president we've.
Inflation is largely due to things the president doesn't control, such as foreign wars that involve putting restrictions on oil, and also proven corporate greed. McDonald's has inflated the prices on their menu at 100% compared to actual inflation, which should have put an increase on their menu of 35%. But in the last 10 years, it has gone up 100%.
We've ever had. The good news is he makes Jimmy Carter.
I'm not saying McDonald's is the worst company ever. I'm just saying that, like, that is an example of how corporations are milking inflation to make record profits, which, by the way, if inflation was as big a problem as it is, those price increases wouldn't result in record profits because inflation would eat the profits. Do you see it now?
Look brilliant by comparison. So Jimmy Carter's the only one that's happy with this.
Well, look, I think that's why a lot of people are so obsessed with you, Mr. Trump, Mr. President Trump. Well, because
fuck you, Logan. Fuck you.
You're already a billionaire, right? You are essentially serving these people, and you don't have to be doing it. The president.
No.
Show us your taxes.
Being the president seems like a very hard job. You were at 3 meetings just before this,
Sure.
but I guess I'm asking, like, the desire to.
Logan Paul drinks his own drink. Means Logan Paul's body is full of forever chemicals.
Run and attempt to improve your country for these things you're saying.
Yeah.
It comes from what? Just the love of the country?
Well, the people, I'll tell you, when you look at the people, when you look at the crowds, I did a rally in New Jersey. We had 107,000 people there. You saw that last week. We did one in the Bronx. We had 25,000 people. And this was in the South.
Why do you want to be president? Starts talking about the crowds. Just so you know, like, I say this to you as a performer, getting in front of large crowds of people and getting them to react to you gets you high as fuck. Like, that is one of the biggest highs there is. He's chasing that dopamine. That's why he wanted to be president. He doesn't really love being president. He loves getting on stage and having people cheer for him.
Bronx, which is known as a rough area, and it was like a love fest. There was not even like.
Do you think the Bronx is known as a rough area? He got on stage and it was like a love fest. Are you like, how out of touch with how crime works are you that you think those things are relevantly connected?
Nobody
Absolutely
even
insane.
raised a voice of dissent. The whole place, it was like a big love fest. Nobody could believe it.
Of course, it's not a voice of dissent, Trump. They paid to see you. Who do you think pays to see a? Oh my God! It's like when stand-up comedians be like, "Oh, colleges are too woke for our jokes." No, it's because normally when you perform outside of a college, you're in a coliseum where tickets cost $300, and when you go, so the people who are there to see you really fucking want to see you. When you go to a college, the tickets are like $5 or free. They're probably $10 now with inflation. I don't know. It's been forever since I went to college. But when I went to see comedy shows in college, sometimes you didn't pay at all. So you're going to walk in there and the audience isn't necessarily going to give a shit who you are. But if you're paying to see Donald Trump, you're paying to see Donald Trump. This is wildly bad logic.
You saw that 3-4 weeks ago. There's tremendous, our country has tremendous potential, but it's going down the tubes very, very rapidly. Nobody has ever seen anything like it, the way it's being run. So bad. And we can change it. We can
How? Say how.
change it quickly. We have a debate coming up. That'll be interesting.
Changing it quickly would actually be alarming because the system is designed to not become changeable quickly, because being changeable quickly is how you get fascism.
June
That'll be-
27th,
yeah.
hosted by one of your favorite television networks, CNN.
Well, they gave me the option. They said, would you do it? And
I don't watch CNN, but like the constant like way that they talk about CNN is like, ugh.
they didn't want to do it. He didn't want to do it. So they gave me everything. Fake Tapper and lots of other people that were gonna, were involved on CNN. They wanted it to be seated, which I didn't like. I said we should stand, and I think we won that point. But I would have agreed to whatever I had to agree to because they didn't want to do it. They thought that I
You're really missing out on not sitting down, Trump.
wouldn't do it because it's CNN, but I've done plenty of CNN. I did a
Oh, wait, is it because you look fatter when you sit down?
town hall not so long ago with CNN that worked out well. But I think they'll be fair. I think they're going to try and be fair. I mean, as fair as they can be. But
Props to Trump for not just outright slandering CNN for funsies.
I think it's important for there to be a debate. So they said, "You want to debate?" Yep, I'll accept. You don't even have to tell me. Then they said CNN. They said the different people that are involved. But let's see what happens. I used to get along with Jake Tapper. We'll see what happens. But it doesn't matter. Whatever it is, it is.
That sentiment that CNN might be fair to you
They might be.
is a bit of a departure
I'd
from
say
your
a good
normal
10% chance.
from your normal hardline stance.
10% is nothing.
Do you think that you're starting to come around or soften your views on some of the networks that you may have not gotten along with in the past?
No, they're fake news.
Yeah, fake news.
No, they're so bad.
Staying on brand. Gotta stay on brand.
One of the good terms, right? Fake news. But no, I don't think so. I thought maybe, I had one with Caitlin Collins about 4 or 5 months ago. It was one of the highest rated shows they've ever had. And I really thought they were going to go maybe sort of in the middle. But I was wrong about, as I'm getting on and I'm hearing the way I'm being announced, they said, hey, these people are playing hardball. They're making a big mistake. But
Because they should be playing hardball. The presidential debate should not be a softball situation. That's just the facts.
But the ratings for this debate, I guess, will be quite good.
Massive. Are you
think
surprised by his
be.
decision to face-to-face with you?
You mean the fact that they're willing to do it?
That Biden's
A
willing
little
to do
bit.
it?
They didn't want to do it. They thought I turned CNN down. Look, CNN is the enemy. And they thought I was going to turn CNN, and Tapper is, one of the guys that, when I'm making a speech, so They're waiting for the nomination for months and months. I got it in the quickest fashion. Nobody's ever gotten a nomination so quickly. And I'm making my nomination.
I mean, that's a little disingenuous, Trump. There was actually way more effort put into the Republican primaries than there were the Democratic primaries. So I don't know if that's accurate to say, Trump.
Nomination speech, and they refuse to put it. They're covering it for months and months. Now I'm actually making my speech. I mean, this is the big night. I won the nomination, and they refuse to put it on. These are people that don't like Trump. But it's okay, because I think it's important to have.
No one's required to like Trump. No one's required to like Trump. When you're talking this much about how people don't like you, that's called a victim complex. He has a victim complex, or he's trying to create an image of himself as the victim to win your sympathies.
Have a debate, or a number of debates, actually.
The fact that you are so vocal as well, especially on social media, I think works in your favor. And personally, I like that you come
Because dumb people love that.
with receipts sometimes.
Yeah,
I've seen you pull them out of your,
No, I
your
understand.
jacket. Will you have receipts?
I like to do it.
Well, fact checking's fun.
Yeah, I know. We'll check. We're gonna check a lot of things. It's gonna be an interesting. You will be watching.
Trump hates fact checking. That's obvious from everything he's ever done.
Right?
I'll be watching.
We just don't want to schedule it around one of your fights.
Please
because
don't. Please don't.
You do pretty well.
Thanks. I'll be watching. Yeah, I always see you at
So
UFC.
do you have? By the way, do you ever fight your brother?
Logan is coming across very pro-Trump in this video, and that's alarming to me for so many reasons.
Huh?
That's the
Little bit?
question.
you want to know something?
I want to know.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right.
because you are both good. Do you ever fight him?
Thank you. I not in real life.
You
no.
practiced a little bit.
Never.
With him, right?
We've never even sparred.
Really.
We don't know. I think
Well, did you beat him up your whole life?
I
growing
didn't.
up?
I punched him in the face once because he took my glasses. But I was willing to step in for Mike Tyson when Tyson got sick and had to postpone his fight. And we actually like ran it up the chain at Netflix.
It's hard for brothers to fight, though. I think it's hard.
Not on
I've
Netflix
seen it over
for
the
a
years,
big
you know.
old bag. Like
Yeah,
figure
there
it
have
out
been
once and
some,
for
though.
all.
I think it's. You don't think so? You love your brother.
Well, me and Jake decided that obviously, like, we both come from a place of love, and whatever the outcome would be, we'd have to be okay with it. But obviously, I love my
No,
brother.
but the shots to the face and you know.
just one time though, for the rest of history. You know, that night goes down forever. The Klitschko brothers never did it.
No, they never did it, and they were both good, and they
Yeah.
never did it. They were very good, but in fact, nobody really figured out maybe who was better. They had some good fights. They were tough, right?
Yeah.
They
Well,
were tough.
Jake's tough and he's good, but I'm
He's,
1-0.
he's very good, and you're very good.
Thanks.
He had a street. He had
Okay, so the thing I'm actually impressed with here is that, okay, so like I said, this is so far super softball interview. They are definitely down to ride Trump's dick, but I will at least say it's not to the degree that Tim Pool's interview was. Like Tim Pool's interview was him like just full deep throating Donald Trump's penis, which admittedly, based on Stormy Daniels' estimates, is not hard to do. Or actually, maybe you could say it's hard to do because it's hard to get to the back of your throat, which you need for it to be deep throating. But this is metaphorical deep throating, so maybe it's not even really relevant. The point is they're not slobbing his knob as hard as Tim Pool. But then again, Tim Pool only had 17 minutes. So maybe Tim Pool had to slob that knob a lot harder just to get it in there, you know? Because he had to like concentrate the knob slobbery.
a street fight this past week against somebody from a squad you may know as the
tell
Nelk
me.
from the Nelk Boys.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
When you
one-
said you had it out with them?
An actual street fight.
No,
A
no,
fit-
but a friendly one or an unfriendly one?
Oh, it was pretty unfriendly.
Yeah,
I
it
was
not
there.
friendly. I would
You
call
know,
it a waiver fight. I had
They
to
have
decide
a great following, though. They're nice guys.
We love them.
They have such a. You do. Good.
Oh, yeah.
I'm glad because you
Yeah.
know, I'm getting myself into a position here.
I have no idea who the fuck they're talking about.
They really are. They did. Dana White, who's fantastic.
for sure.
Oh, it's got to be a UFC fighter.
He said, "Would you do the Nelk Boys?" I didn't know who they were. I did it, and they have a tremendous audience, which you can
Ferocious.
tell right away. I did Dr. Phil the other day.
I saw it.
Yeah, he
Amazing.
was great.
We
No, he
love
was
the Nelk Boys, by the way. The Nelk
Oh my God, he did Dr. Phil. Oprah, you have so much to answer for.
Boy we're talking about is like It's kind of like
His name's Bradley Martin. He's a big fitness
Right.
guy because we know Kyle Forgard, Kyle,
Right.
and John Shahidi for
Right.
years now.
They're
But
great.
Bradley's this big 260-pound, bodybuilder, and for years he's called people out. I'm 260. I'll fight you, and got into it with Logan.
And how did it work out?
How you think, Mr. President?
I think he probably did pretty good. I've watched enough of you fighting.
It was off camera. It was cool. It was like a duel, like a good old fashioned, just boys being boys, no cameras.
It was a real deal.
The real deal.
And
No rules.
was he finished?
He quit.
That's like the stupidest shit you can possibly do. Doing a real street fight is like the stupidest shit you can possibly do.
He was. He did.
He quit. Yeah.
But we were very impressed with him, actually.
He showed up.
He has no combat sports experience.
Yep.
Stepped
So
up
he
to
just
somebody
had
who-
he had muscle.
Wait, who the fuck are they fighting? I do not know who they're fighting. Even dumber that guy with no combat experience chose to do a street fight with him. Like, what the fuck?
So, but not the. Not
Yeah.
the
Yep.
just no training.
Yeah.
Just no training.
You ever been in a fist fight, Mr. President?
probably not. I've been like little duels, nothing like.
Man got out of being in Vietnam. He went to prep schools. Yeah, no, he has not been in a fight. Thank you. I'm surprised he'd be honest about that, to be honest.
I mean, I'd like to say, yeah, I fought my way through school.
Right.
I fought my way out of the Wharton School of Finance. But we didn't have a lot of fighters.
Yeah.
We have fighters, but not that kind of fighters. But I've
Because he has to compare being a businessman to being a fighter.
had a lot of fun. I'll tell you, we had a great time. Over the years, I've been very much involved with Mike Tyson. Mike is a great guy. My son,
Very disappointed in you right now, Mike.
I have a beautiful
Still rooting for you over Logan Paul, though.
boy, Baron, and he loves Mike Tyson.
Beautiful
big boy. Big boy.
He's huge.
He's a big boy, 6'9".
6'9".
6'9".
Oh, my
yeah.
PDF said 6'7".
And I couldn't get him to play basketball. He plays soccer. He's a good athlete too. Good student,
Big
good
boy
athlete.
for soccer.
But he's 6'9".
It's insane.
Good looking guy, but he is a tall one. There's no question. I say, Baron, I don't want to take a picture next to you. It's
Neither do we.
Crazy. We ought to make him a fighter, maybe.
No, I don't want. We always see you at the UFC fights.
Yeah.
So you're obviously a fight fan.
I like it. I really enjoyed it. I think Dana White is one of a kind.
For
He's
sure.
And he's been generous to me. He's made a great statement about me the other day. He
I
said-
saw that.
That was a nice statement.
Well, because
but I
you've
said-
had his back for.
Well,
since-
I did, and rightfully. I think, the expression everybody's replaceable, I'm not sure anybody could do. The job he does is unbelievable.
Yeah.
He gets, I met Khabib, who's,
No one can screw fighters out of their health insurance like Dana White.
I saw that.
29-0, and his father died, and he just said, that's it for me. And, his father was great at what he did, and probably he never lost even a round. I think 29-0, they say he never lost a round, and I thought he was great. And we got to speak. He was just about my favorite guy, and really talented. The Strickland was fantastic the other night. I thought he was
Great striker.
He was
Everyone
oh.
wants to come out of the cage and meet you after they
They
win.
do.
And
Yeah,
when-
they
and when
do.
you-
I'm very honored by it. Every time they win, they jump out.
Yeah.
They jump out of that cage like it's nothing. I don't know. It's pretty high, but they have no problem.
And when you enter the arena,
Guy with the beard is way too excited about all this.
there's an eruption of cheers.
Yeah.
But I remember, because I've been
You could technically say Logan Paul also has a beard. Like he's got that like thin sort of. He's got a very thin beard. The other guy has like more of a beard, although it's not really like a super masculine beard, but they have a beard.
going to UFC for a while. Like it wasn't always like that. There was a very clear.
Oh my God, who is not? Now is not a good time. Goddamn AT&T guy interrupted me. However, I did use an opportunity to get myself some green tea and lemonade. Turns out, looks like I'm drinking straight urine. But I assure you 100% that is green tea and lemonade.
Clear like shift in the perception of you. Do you feel like you feel that now more than ever?
I don't know. I've done it in Vegas, Miami. I do it with Dana. Dana wants me to do that, and I do it. And it is an eruption. He said like he's never heard before. They actually stopped a fight. One of the fighters were walking out, and there's a fight going on, and these guys are really going at it. And they heard this crazy sound, and they stopped the fight. They both stopped fighting. They're looking over what happened. They probably thought bad things were happening to the arena. But no, it's been great. And he is just somebody you have to really respect. I imagine you guys do. But he gets these fighters from all over the world, and they are, some really talented people. And I have respect for fighters. When you can take 200 shots to the face and then look forward to the second round.
Yes.
It's interesting. A lot of wrestlers want to do the UFC thing, but they can't take the shots because they're wrestlers. I've been with a lot of them, and because at the White House we honor the national champion wrestlers and tennis players and sort of everything. We have these, but speaking to the wrestlers, some of them, there's somebody named Bo Nickel who I think is going to be great. He's a fighter.
Fantastic.
He was a All-American, I think probably 4 years. I'm not even sure.
Immature, but this is boring as fuck. I do not care what Trump thinks about athletes. We got to hear what. Oh my God, what the fuck does Logan Paul think about the Ukraine war?
Speaking of conflict and fighting, since you left office, the number of global conflicts has skyrocketed. And I know Khabib talked to you about it quickly when you spoke.
Not like, if you genuinely think that the skyrocket of global conflicts is related to Trump not being president anymore, I'm sorry, but you live in a fucking bubble. The reality is that all these global conflicts have been percolating, some of them for decades. So it's a little bit fucking ridiculous to think that Donald Trump not being president is the main reason these things are not, the reason these things are happening. That's stupid. You need to think harder. You need to read.
Spoke with him. I think 2 weeks ago about President Biden authorized the use of American weapons in Russia, which has now led to a fleet of Russian warships.
I actually don't remember that getting approved. I'll have to look into that. Did he finally give Zelensky permission to use U.S. weapons inside Russia? I thought that he said no to that. Hold on. Well, I'll look that up while they talk.
Coming towards Cuba this week. What are your thoughts and concerns around our current handling of our relationship with Russia?
Well, the Russian attack on Ukraine would have never happened if I were president. Would have never happened.
Highly unlikely. Most of the actions that Donald Trump was taking seemed like they would actually set this up. His weakening of our allyship with NATO could only possibly have encouraged this event. I don't believe this.
It's just a shame. So many dead people. You look at just the soldiers, it's 500,000 soldiers between the both countries. But so many dead people, so many towns and villages and buildings and magnificent culture just being wiped out. You okay over there?
Stuff's falling over.
Sounds good. Nice book, by the way. Nice book.
We'll get to that.
That's his book about
Let's
overcoming drug
promote it.
addiction.
It's a bestseller about the opiate epidemic, which we'll talk
Wow,
about.
that's a great topic because it's so.
Okay, Politico. They normally don't. I don't think Politico has a bias against Biden. The president recently directs his team to ensure that Ukraine is able to use U.S. weapons for counter-fire purposes in Kharkiv, so Ukraine can hit back at Russian forces, hitting them or preparing to hit them. One of the U.S. officials said, adding that the policy of not allowing long-range strikes inside Russia has not changed. Okay, that's actually a super important distinction. So the use of American weapons on civilian targets has not been approved. So there is definitely some disingenuousness here.
Sad to see what's happening. So bad. But it's a shame because it never would have happened. And it didn't happen during my 4 years. It didn't happen.
These are unprovable statements. He cannot prove that these things wouldn't have happened if he was president. They just sound good.
And it wouldn't have happened. I got along very well with Putin. I got along with Zelensky, but it wouldn't have happened.
He tried to get Zelensky to do incredibly inappropriate things to receive aid.
And October 7th would have never happened.
Hold on. I'll be specific about that because it's only fair. I've been writing him for not being specific He specifically tried to get Zelensky to investigate the son of his political rival. That's a wildly inappropriate thing. It's the exact kind of thing he's constantly accusing Biden of doing to him.
Happened, and inflation would have never happened, and the withdrawal, the kind.
Inflation was already happening. COVID itself also affected inflation. He would not have been able to stop all this inflation. That is a lie.
Kind of withdrawal. We were getting out of Afghanistan with dignity and strength, but to get out the way, I think it was the most embarrassing day in the history of our country. And I actually think that the way Afghanistan worked.
Afghanistan, what happened the way it happened, partly because of the deal he set up for it to happen.
I think that when Putin looked at that, he said, wow, let's go in. And you know who else looked at it? President Xi of China. And he is looking at Taiwan, and he's drooling. He's drooling over.
This shit is just so very hyperbolic. China was looking at Taiwan during his presidency too. These conversations were already happening.
Over Taiwan. And so something could happen there. We've lost a lot of respect. They're laughing at us all over the world. And that wasn't happening 4 years ago.
And with you back in office, you think we'll get that respect back?
Yeah, we'll get it back. We'll get it back.
What's your relationship like with Vladimir Putin?
I think very good, but I was tough with him. You know, I ended the pipeline. He built, it's called Nord Stream 2. Nobody ever heard of Nord Stream 2 until I got involved. And it was the biggest project ever done in Russia. I mean, you know, this was a pipeline that was going to supply oil and gas to all over Europe, Germany in particular. And I said, what are you doing? Why are you doing this to Germany? I said, we're defending you under NATO, and you're paying billions of dollars a month to Russia. You mean we're defending you, and you're giving the people we're defending you from, we're giving you the defense, but you're giving them money at massive.
That's interesting. He is selectively deciding when Russia is his best friend and when he can use their opposition to us as leverage. Trump is an opportunist, and you need to wake up to this. You cannot trust an opportunist. If you really think that he will choose us over himself, you are wrong.
Amounts. Probably the biggest project, you know, most important, one of the most important projects they've ever done. I ended it. It was dead. It was gone. And then this guy comes in and he approves it, but he kills Keystone. You know, the Keystone XL.
Yep.
So Keystone XL had a lot of problems and also was a Canadian pipeline. Unless I'm mixing it up with a different pipeline that got shut down. There were a lot of problems with the Keystone pipeline. I'm glad it's gone. Pipelines don't create the amount of jobs that Republicans like to pretend that they do. They are run by skeleton crews because they are literally more effective than trains and stuff, because trains and stuff require more jobs.
So it's sad, but Putin said to me, it's the biggest thing. You ended it. You ended the pipeline. He said, they all say you and I are friendly, but I'd hate to see you as an enemy. But this was the biggest, you know, this was massive amounts of money and everything.
But that's how
but Biden came in, huh?
You talked to him like that?
Oh, no, I had a very good relationship. That's a good thing, not a bad thing. And I'm trying to tell people, no, it's a good thing. They've got, I would give you the exact number, but they gave a lot, just under 2,000 nuclear weapons. And we do also. And when you have nuclear weapons, and even if you don't have nuclear weapons, getting along is good, but be the tough one, be the smart one, get along is good. I tell the press all the time, no, the fact that I get along with Kim Jong-un, North Korea.
That's crazy.
Kim Jong-un, I addressed this heavily in the Tim Pool interview, didn't stop doing shit. Kim Jong-un continues to test ballistic missiles and weapon systems related to nuclear arms. In fact, Kim Jong-un has tested more of that shit than almost anyone. More than his father and more than his grandfather. He seems obsessed with it.
President Xi.
That's crazy.
It's all good stuff getting along, but nobody ever took money out of China like me. I took hundreds of billions of dollars out in the form of tariffs and taxes. No other president took.
Tariffs, by the way, also increase inflation because they increase the cost of foreign goods, at which point local distributors and companies will also take advantage of this to raise their own prices. Thanks a lot, Donald Trump. You see, a tariff is just a tax that is put onto a foreign power, and then the cost of that tax are ultimately passed down to us, the consumer.
Took not 10 cents. And, China built their military because of the United States. The United States was giving them hundreds of billions of dollars a year in excess flow. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. But we took out hundreds of
Is he talking about trade deficits? Because that's not how trade deficits work.
billions of dollars from China. And I still got along with President Xi until COVID. That was a breaking point. But no, but he was a guy that I respected. He liked me and I liked him. That's a good thing, not a bad thing. The press says, "Oh, isn't it?" You say, "Yeah, he's a leader. He's a smart guy." They say, "Smart man." They say, "Oh, Trump said he was smart." He leads 1.4 billion people. It's a little bit on the smart side.
That measurement has nothing to do with your intelligence. That's not a real. It's not a real metric of measurement.
But I got along with him. I got along with Kim Jong-un. That would have been a nuclear war. If Hillary Clinton had gotten in office, we would have been in a.
Unlikely. He has only tested more weapons since talking to Donald Trump. The timeline indicates that he tested more after talking to Donald Trump. Donald Trump literally did nothing.
Nuclear war with North Korea. He was ready for it.
He's not ready for it. He is literally not ready for it. They are not as technologically advanced as Trump is making North Korea sound. They literally continue to test. They have accelerated testing since Trump went and talked to him. This is bullshit.
When I was with him, nobody else could meet him. All of a sudden, the dam broke, and we started talking a little bit. We got together, as you know, twice. Got along very well, but we were in no danger from them, and we were in serious danger before I got there. I'm telling you, you would have had a nuclear war of him.
No, we would not have. This is a gross misstatement of North Korea's power, technological development, and general overall threat. These are all things North Korea is working towards. North Korea at any moment could become a very credible threat to the handful of countries in their immediate vicinity. But currently, North Korea cannot make a missile that will hit the United States.
Hillary Clinton got in.
I'm so curious, what this conversation with really powerful world leaders looks like behind closed doors. Is it candid, or do you exercise grace, or you talk like boys?
Everyone's different. No, but everyone's different. It's like when you're talking to people, when you're doing interviews with people, when you're fighting people, they're all different. You fight them a different way, you talk to them a different way, but everyone's different. But I had very good.
This is very indicative of who Trump actually is, by the way. Trump is a salesman. He knows that once you're in a room one-on-one with a person, your tactics for selling to them are going to be different than selling to other people. Each of these people, he's going to develop a different rapport with in order to sell them on something. This is the type of thing that Trump is actually known for. This is the type of thing that Trump is actually, quote, air quotes, good at.
Relationships with everyone. The funny thing is I got along with the tough ones much better than I got along with the weak ones. You had some real weak ones too. I didn't get along with them as well.
This is a hard statement to actually take seriously, because he's, as someone who puts forward a strongman leadership sort of persona, he's going to refer to anyone who doesn't get along with as weak. And he's going to prefer people who are strongman minded like he is. Unless, of course, one of them somehow gets the better of him.
It's strange. Must be a personality
defect. It's probably
defect.
a good thing.
Huh?
It's probably a good thing that you get along with the
I get along with the
leaders
tough
of the
ones.
largest countries.
There's a very tough.
Okay, so that guy just misconflated what Trump said. He said leaders of the larger countries, but that's not what Trump said. He said weaker and stronger leaders. I guess they need to have a conversation about defining what those words mean.
One, Viktor Orban, and he's the
always with Viktor Orban. This should be the biggest red flag. Viktor Orban is a guy who spreads constant anti-Semitism and and blatant homophobia throughout his country and its laws. Viktor Orban is a bad fucking dude. It is insane that Trump keeps going back to Viktor Orban. It is a huge red flag, America, that he likes Viktor Orban. That's hugely a red flag.
The Prime Minister of Hungary, and he said that the reason the world is blowing up because Trump isn't president. When Trump was there,
This is why he likes Viktor Orban, though. The fact that Viktor Orban would say this is why he likes Viktor Orban.
everybody respected Trump. He said was afraid of Trump. I don't want to use that term because that's, you know, I don't want to say, oh, they were afraid, like a child would say. But they respected me. But he said everyone listened to Trump. They were afraid of Trump. They couldn't figure Trump out. And they all listened. And they did listen. And we had.
If people are saying they can't figure Trump out, what they're saying is, we think Trump might be crazy.
No wars. We had no nothing. I defeated ISIS, got rid of the biggest terrorists ever, maybe, just about.
ISIS still exists. It is not untrue that ISIS did get their ass kicked in the last few years, but ISIS technically still exists. They've just lost a lot of power.
Ever. But we defeated, think of that, we knocked out ISIS, 100% of the ISIS caliphate.
Why do you, like, here's the thing is that, like, it's not a lie until he says 100%. It's not a lie until he says 100%. He could have gotten away with telling the truth there if he had not escalated it to 100%. You know, I'll even double check this. Is ISIS still active? Oh my God, this is a long thing already. ISIS remains capable of conducting insurgent operations in Iraq and Syria, while overseeing at least 19 branches and networks in Africa, Asia, and Europe. Yep, they continue to be a persistent threat. So, like, they're still around. So saying 100% is a lie.
And started no wars. I wasn't in any wars. Now that, I don't know.
He continued to operate inside numerous military conflicts that America was already involved with. He also put in place rules and legislation to essentially make it so we knew less about those wars. He did the opposite of give us transparency on his drone strikes. He made it harder for us to know when he was drone striking. Obama loved to drone strike the shit out of some people, but Obama also was transparent about his war crimes, you know?
How you may feel about that because, you know, you're a warrior, right? Because all fighters and
similar to Nixon in Cambodia, actually, how Nixon said, hey, we're not doing any wars, and then secretly kept bombing Cambodia.
you're a real fighter, by the way.
It's not good. It's not good. I don't shy away from conflict. My fiance has a problem with it.
Yeah.
It's not good. You're much more diplomatic than I probably would be.
You know, it's very interesting though. So Khabib came up to me after the fight the other night. And, you know, you guys would probably say he's the best ever, maybe. And, you know, certainly he probably is and or very close, right? John Jones, a lot of people say.
I'd say 1 and 2.
And, you know, and he said to me, oh, I hope you can get in because we have to stop the wars. We have to stop the killing. He was so smart. He understood it. And I think he's friends or was friends, but I think he is friends with Putin very much.
This is the exact same shit that Nixon pulled. This is the exact same type of shit that Nixon pulled. You tell people you're not going to do the wars, and then you just keep doing the wars while not telling people you're doing the wars.
He said, we have to stop the killing, and it's true. And I think I'd have that war stopped. If I was president-elect, right after the election, if I win, I will get that war stopped. I'll get it stopped fast before I get to office. If
he actually does, then I genuinely believe everything is rigged. If that were to happen, I would have to believe everything is rigged.
It's not stopped before then.
Talking about Russia, Ukraine.
I'm talking about Russia, Ukraine. We'll get it stopped.
On the
so
flip
many
side,
people are being killed. Far more people are being killed. And I thought it was great when Khabib came up to me. He says, "We've got to stop all of the killing."
Oh my God, I don't care about
He's
Khabib.
a very smart guy, very interesting guy. We talked for a while.
On the flip side, or on the other side of the continent,
I hate this guy with the curly hair and the beard. I want to smack him in the face. Oh, he's got a book next to him. That must be who he is. Mike Majlek, The Fifth Vital. I don't know who this guy is, but I hate him.
The Gaza situation has been
Horrible.
big news over the past year or so. The United States has always been, and you were always a staunch ally of Israel. Has your sentiment on Netanyahu or on his regime changed at all in light of any of the
I'm just going to say, I don't think it will have.
events of the past 6 months?
No, look, it was a shame that it should
Netanyahu's an idiot, by the way. He's actively making his situation worse.
have never happened. It would have never happened. Iran was broke when I was president. Nobody was allowed to buy
What?
oil. Nobody was allowed to buy anything. They were broke.
I don't think we've changed that. I can't think of a single reason why the Biden administration would change that.
A Democrat congressman on Deface the Nation, the show Deface the Nation, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh my God.
It's Deface the Nation, yes. Commonly
Stop it with your fucking wordplay.
known as Face the Nation, but I don't call it that.
You have a name for
I think I have a name for everything. I'll end up with a name for you two guys by the time. But it'll be.
I can't wait to hear
No,
mine.
there'll be good names. There'll be good names. But so he was on the show and he said, whether you like Trump or not, Iran was broke during Trump's. They would have made a deal within 1 week, and now they have $250 billion. We would have had a deal done literally in 1 week after the election, and it was ready. They were absolutely, and they had no money for Hamas. They had no money for Hezbollah. They were broke, stone cold broke. Now they have $250 billion.
What? Fuck. Iran broke. Okay. So Iran has had major GDP growth this year. So that's interesting. The International Monetary Fund has calculated the debts of the Iranian government amount to 30.5% of its GDP, which is the equivalent of $1.18 billion, or 2.5 times the government's budget for the current fiscal year. Okay, so they are in debt. That's as of April this year. They did have economic growth from March 21st to December 20th of 2023. According to the Telegraph, their financial issues are not entirely due to the sanctions, but also due to major problems. Okay, here we go. PolitiFact. When I came into office, Iran had $70 billion in foreign exchange reserves. By the time I left, they had nothing. They were broke. PolitiFact ranks this as half true. Iran's foreign reserves. All right, the short version is Trump's numbers are off. Iran's reserves were larger than he states. Okay, so they had more money and did not drop to zero, but he's on point about the plummeting trend line. Iran's foreign currency reserves fell from 128 billion in 2015 to 15 billion in 2019. Okay, which represents an even more dramatic decline in absolute dollars than Trump said. Okay, interesting. This decline is widely believed to be the consequence of tightened U.S. sanctions under Trump and has not reversed to any significant degree. Okay, so according to PolitiFact, they are still in debt. Has America removed any sanctions on Iran?
According to Wikipedia, in November 2018, the United States officially reinstated all sanctions against Iran that had been lifted before the United States withdrew from the JCPOA. In April 2019, the United States threatened to sanction countries continuing to buy oil from Iran after an initial 6-month waiver announced in November expired.
President Biden has not removed any sanctions. Their money, they have managed to fill their coffers by selling gas and oil to China.
Biden took off all of the sanctions. He let them go. China
Not true.
went to town. I told China, if you buy 1 barrel of oil from these people, you're not doing any business with the United States. They took a pass, no oil, and other countries likewise. And we would have had a deal. It would have been a great deal for everybody. We would have had a deal. Now they have 250.
Okay. He has relaxed certain sanctions. This allowed China to buy oil from Iran, but no sanctions have actually been lifted.
$1 billion. They made it all in 3 years, 3.5 years. They made it all during this Biden term. I mean, he gave him $6 billion for 5 hostages, right? You saw that recently, a couple of months ago. $6 billion for 5 hostages. He made the swap.
We didn't actually give them that money. Technically, that was already their money. It was just money that we had frozen the assets of in accounts they had in foreign countries. Also, he's saying that those people's lives are worth less than $1 billion.
The Prince of Terror, they call him. He's the best arms dealer ever, they say. Who knows what that means, but he was a great arms dealer. For the basketball player that wouldn't...
They're talking about a guy... okay, they're talking about the guy that we let go to get... I forget her name, but she's a basketball player. He's going to say her name in a second, I'm pretty sure. But it's worth noting that the guy we gave them only had 7 years left on his sentence, which is not a small amount of time, but in relation to his full sentence, it kind of is.
Stand up during the national anthem. She thought that was a good time to tie her sneakers. And that was not exactly the greatest trade, but he gave $6 billion on top of everything. $6 billion.
Attacks her character just to try and downplay the value of returning her to America.
Billion with a B. And they don't know what they're doing. And when you do that, when
This
you
had
start...
nothing to do with Gaza. Like, literally nothing to do with Gaza. Make him answer about Gaza, God damn it.
paying that kind of money, a lot of other people are going to be missing all of a sudden. They're going to be missing and, hey, let's make a trade. And that's already happening. You just can't do that. I got 58 people out. We never paid any money. 58 people, 58 hostages. We never paid money. Because once you pay money, you're going to be doing a lot. In other words, you're going to keep doing it.
Didn't pay money. We technically were holding that money hostage. Not the same situation.
So you can't do that.
This episode is sponsored by myself. I sponsored it myself. Primex, guys. We just dropped Primex. This is our biggest launch ever.
Does Primex have less forever chemicals? Don't know.
It is a $1 million treasure hunt. So after you buy your bottle and you open it, there's a code under the cap. You scan the QR code on the side. You enter the code on the cap on the website. We made a custom app, a custom portal that has access.
He never asked. He never gives real answers on Gaza. Literally, he just said that he likes Netanyahu, and that was it. That was it. Do the accelerationists and people who support the Palestinians still think that not voting for Biden's a good idea? Oh my God. They literally let that shit slide. Trump's advice for people? Oh my God. I kind of want to skip it, but it could be funny. I might skip some of
Money
it.
in this country.
Go ahead.
I've had a very fortunate career.
Yeah.
I've made some money. And
More money than you ever thought possible.
for sure.
Right?
For sure.
Yeah, I know. I know the
Absolutely.
kind of money you make because I know when you have a top event and your shows, but these events are doing fantastically.
Yeah,
What
yeah.
you've done is incredible.
Yeah, I'm very blessed, and part of the reason that I believe I'm blessed is because of this country, and I think in a way I'm kind of living like the modern day American dream. I had access to a phone.
That's not good, though. If Logan Paul represents the American dream, then that means that the American dream is significantly out of reach for the average person. If being a famous YouTube celebrity who sells energy drinks is the American dream, then you have to recognize at a certain point that means the American dream is only for a select, lucky few people. Think about it.
And could start my business and reach the entire world on this device. So,
Excuse me, did you guys start like separately?
me and Jake?
Yes.
Nah, together.
Oh, you started. So you started together.
Together on YouTube.
And did you branch out? You each have your own thing now?
Well, eventually, because I went to college. Jake was still in high school. He ended up dropping out. I finished my first year.
It's an amazing 2 stories, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Who makes more money?
Neither of them is educated. Great. Or I guess Logan Paul is the more educated. He completed a year of college.
It depends on the year. It depends if Jake has
I wanna
fights.
ask you a little question.
And it depends on when this sells right here.
Yeah. I think
Oh, and they do fights, MMA or boxing or something. I honestly don't know what Jake does. I'm more familiar with Logan's fights than Jake's somehow. But like that's still like the average American can't just get in the ring and get paid money to do it.
Is that your new drink? Oh, that's good. Oh, well,
yeah.
If you make it, I like it.
Oh, thank you,
wanna
Mr.
give-
President.
No, it's got to be good. It's got to be. Look, something's propelling him to fight.
Forever chemicals. Your drink's making the friggin' frogs gay, Logan.
World champions to a draw, right?
Yeah. We actually made this American
Oh, that's
Prime
beautiful.
special
Wow.
for this episode. It's a hydration beverage.
It's doing fine.
I wonder if I would have gotten views if I told people this was pee. No, the video is too long to go viral.
Doing well.
We did 1.2 billion last year.
That's
year,
great.
Year 2.
That's fantastic.
But I'm blessed to have even just be able to say that is insane. But
It's a billionaire. That is not the end result for the average American business person.
my question is for other young people in this country who are looking to get ahead, because for a lot of them times are tough right now.
It's very tough.
What would you say to them, kids who want to pursue their own version of the American dream and try to achieve their wildest dreams and make it all come true?
I would say very simply, honestly, vote for Trump. Because with Biden, you're never going to do it. This country's going to hell.
Completely unfounded statements. Logan Paul here didn't get to be a billionaire because of Donald Trump. He started on this path a long time before Donald Trump was ever president.
Vote for Trump. You know, we're doing great with youth. We're doing great with African Americans, with
Doing great specifically with young white men. There's something very wrong with young white men today.
Hispanic Americans through the.
And I don't mean that as a criticism. I mean that as I'm worried about you guys. Let's talk. Let's talk. I'm very worried about you. Where are your father figures?
The roof, both of those groups, with women, with men, and with young people, we're doing very well. But I say vote for Trump.
Gen Z women are going the other way. So you might want to mellow out your politics if you want to get laid. That's all I'm saying.
If you don't have the right guy in the lead, the country's not going to, you know, if the country doesn't do well, it's much harder to do even what you do. Okay, even what you do. So that would be a simple message. I really mean it, actually.
The same opportunities he's had in America, I've had as well. My road has been a little bit rockier, as we were talking about in my book, The Fifth Vital. I spent 8 years addicted to heroin, living on the East Coast. In what I considered, you know, I think a lot of people considered.
So you were addicted.
Correct.
Wow.
I think a lot of people consider it to be the great opiate
Let me
epidemic.
see the book. Can I see the book?
Absolutely.
We're gonna make this sucker a best-selling book.
There's a message. There's a
It's
message
such
for you.
No, it's such an important.
It's actually
Where's
already
my camera?
it's already a
There. Go
best-selling
out and
book.
buy this book. It's great.
That was for you, I believe.
I wrote a message to you in
Good.
there. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to
It's-
keep it.
Thank you
but
so much.
it's such an important topic. Yes.
Yeah, let's pretend like Trump reads things not written by Hitler, I mean.
Seriously, that's so important.
There's a lot of people that are still kind of wrapped up in that world. And I just want to
Yeah.
ask you some questions. In 2023, the DEA seized more than 80 million fentanyl-laced fake pills, and 12,000 pounds of fentanyl powder. There's so many people out there on the streets right now without access to resources with mental health care, rehabilitation centers.
Yeah.
What's your plan to continue to stem the flow of fentanyl into the country, as well as help the people who've already fallen victim to the opiate epidemic?
So when I took over, you know, it was drug infested. When I ran in
Let's hear if he actually says anything policy-wise or if he just like talks about how good he is at stopping drugs.
2016, I ran on the border and I fixed the border, and I couldn't even use it in 2020 in the campaign, even though I got millions of more votes than I got the first time.
You did not fix the border. What the fuck are you talking about? If you fix the border, why would we be having the border problems that we're having now? If this is supposedly a thing you can fix and the president can fix it, what policy change occurred to make it shitty? The answer is either you didn't do shit or you didn't do enough shit, because Biden hasn't undone anything that you did, unless you think that separating children from their parents is the policy that's would fix the border, because everything else he's doing almost the same.
I couldn't talk about the border because I fixed it. And I'd say to my people, I want to talk about the border.
You did not.
I was proud of the job we did. We had it fixed. It was really in good shape. And drugs were at the lowest point in years. And, not only people, drugs, human trafficking, which is such a horrible thing. It's You think of it as like an ancient kind of a crime, and it's bigger now than ever before because of the internet. The internet has made a lot of these things much bigger than they have ever been. When you think of human trafficking, mostly in women, by the way, people don't know that, mostly in women.
I mean, I think that's true. I'm not double checking it, but I think that is accurate, that women are the most likely to be human trafficked.
Where they put them in trunks of cars, they have compartments. It's so horrible. And I had it down to the lowest level.
So the government actually moves really slowly on things. The reality is that they push against human trafficking actually began under Obama and has only continued to build momentum from that point until now. I'm not going to say that Donald Trump had no hand in this, but he also didn't do this by himself. The U.S. government has had concerns about this and has been moving towards it for a long time.
Just about, I guess, in recorded times. So what you have to do is you have to be very tough on that. We had a deal on the fentanyl is pouring through. I bought millions of dollars worth of equipment. Believe it or not, they call it sniffing equipment, but believe it or not, the best thing to find it, you can spend millions of dollars on equipment and machinery to find drugs coming through, like, sort of finds it. The best thing is a German Shepherd born in a certain dog. Do you know that?
Except it's actually very dangerous for German Shepherds to find fentanyl. It can kill them. It can kill them just by, just gonna point that out there. That being said, the real legislation that has helped fight fentanyl, at least where I'm from, has been legislation that was co-authored by Sherrod Brown, who is a Democrat. And Donald Trump did sign that into law, but he would probably take full credit for it when Sherrod Brown deserves some of that credit.
Sure.
No way.
Oh, they're unbelievable.
Yeah.
They go right to it. It's not even, there is no machine. You spend $2.5 million for machinery, and the dog is much better.
The American Veterinary Association. Synthetic opioids put police dogs at risk. Sergeant Scott Kivett thinks about overdose risks to his drug detection dog, Corey, spelled with a Q. Every time they search a vehicle, I'm very careful about my dog because I primarily deal with heroin, he said. Kivett, a detective, Robbinsville Township, New Jersey, and Corey, a 2-year-old Labrador Retriever, work along section of an interstate I-95 east of Trenton. They are part of a drug interdiction team that is involved in more than 100 heroin-related arrests each year, blah, 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 blah. Corey, like other detection dogs, takes rapid, deep breaths when he finds drug odors, Kivett said. Heroin powder is light baby powder and can puff into clouds. It's light like baby powder. As demanded for heroin has increased, so has demand for fentanyl and carfentanil to supplement heroin. We've already dealt with one incident where a dog got cross-contaminated by a person who ingested heroin. The person overdosed and the dog overdosed. This guy is from New Jersey, apparently. The cop, I mean. Canine units are particularly at risk of immediate death from inhaling fentanyl, agency officials wrote in June of 2016. So actually, the best thing for finding fentanyl, if you don't give a shit about dogs dying, is a dog.
Dogs.
And we literally bred those dogs. It's a very specific type of German Shepherd from a certain part.
I wish I had Gatto here to ask him, my friend Gatto here, to ask him about whether or not this is true about German Shepherds.
Part of the world. It's the most incredible thing. We worked very, very hard on that. I was with President Xi. It comes from China and it comes in through the southern. So Mexico's it comes through the southern border. And I was with President Xi, and I told you, we got along great. You know, the COVID was a step too far as I was concerned, but we got along great. And I said, do you have a drug problem? He said, no, they give the death penalty in China. If you sell drugs, I said, I'd like you to give the death penalty to people that are making fentanyl and sending it over to our country. And he was going to do that. And then we had the election result. And of course, Biden never picked up that conversation. I told them about it, but he was going to give the death penalty. If he did that, you would have had this literally stopped, almost stopped. But we have to be very, very strong at the border. This is.
See, like, these are the signs of a person who has a fascist mentality, that he thinks he can just kill his way out of a problem.
This is a plague like, and you know, the numbers, they'd say 70,000, 80,000. I think it's probably 250 or 300,000.
You can't just make up numbers. You can't quote numbers and then be like, but I think the numbers are actually higher than that. It's like, you're just speculating. Speculation can be misleading and can dramatically lead people astray.
This is like a war. There's rarely a war. I mean, how many wars were you losing? 300,000 people a year. And everybody knows a family. I know many families where their children die and they're not even addicted. They take a pill that's unrelated and it's got a little bit of fentanyl. They say you can take
if your kids are taking pills that could be laced with fentanyl, they're not addicted to something. Like, you don't find fentanyl in weed, is what I'm saying. Anytime you start taking pills to get high, that's like taking a step up in terms of like doing drugs. So, like, if you're taking drugs that could be laced with fentanyl, it's a little bit harder. You're taking a little bit harder stuff. So, like, there's a little bit more than just, like, it's not like someone took an aspirin and they were like, oh no, it's not aspirin, it's fentanyl. Like, that's, I guess hypothetically someone could lie to you and give you what they say is an aspirin. But that seems like more like murder.
A head of a needle. And you just put a piece on it, and that's enough to kill like 10 people. It is a really horrible thing. And
he's great. He's exaggerating a little bit. I've looked into this. Let's see here. I think, I don't want to say the number incorrectly, but I believe it is 2 milligrams, which is not a lot of drug, to be honest. How much fentanyl does it take to overdose?
You're not alone. Help is available by calling.
Oh my God, no!
Crisis Lifeline at 988.
Thanks, Google. Thanks, Google. How much is a dangerous amount of fentanyl?
Help is available by
God damn it! I'm not on drugs, Google.
That number again is 988.
I'm looking this up. How much fentanyl does it take to overdose on average? Why does saying on average change the result? It is 2 milligrams. It takes 2 milligrams. It takes 2 milligrams to overdose. That is very low. That is a very low amount of drug, but dosage of drugs is very relative. When I had, I believe it was hernia surgery, they gave me fentanyl after my surgery, not to take home, but like in the hospital. And I will be honest, that shit is crazy. Like, I was barely conscious enough to sign my release papers. Someone had to drive me home. Like, I'm trying to drink caffeine while I'm filling out papers just so I can be conscious for it. Fentanyl is crazy. But I'm pretty confident that I've seen what a milligram of fluid looks like. And it's a little bit more than he's describing. He's exaggerating, but the dangerous amount of fentanyl is crazy small. That is true, but it's not like it's in nanograms.
Would have had China giving the maximum penalty. They would not have been sending it. And I had a deal worked out with President Xi, but of course Biden didn't follow up, just like he didn't follow up on the Abraham Accords, which would have been great.
The Abraham Accords were terrible. Okay, terrible is the wrong way to put it. The Abraham Accords were a non-starter for Hamas. Like, part of it being is that Jared Kushner wanted to give the Palestinians a lot of land that was uninhabited / uninhabitable. They rejected it almost immediately. The Abraham Accords didn't do shit, and moving the American embassy to Jerusalem probably only made Hamas feel less like Palestinians were being listened to. So the idea that this specific legislation would have stopped Hamas from committing horrific war crimes in order to jumpstart a brutal conflict for attention is just wildly insane. Like, the Abraham Accords would not have stopped this. They just wouldn't have. If you think that Donald Trump would have successfully brought peace to the Middle East with that deal, you have a brick where your brain should be.
Thing to do. So we have to be very tough on the border, and that includes drugs as well as people, as well as people not coming in from jails and prisons and mental institutions, which is.
And he goes back to that, a thing he has yet to substantiate.
Which is happening now at levels that nobody's ever seen before. It's crazy. How can it be good? It's so bad. And I guess they're either stupid, which they're not, they hate our country, or they want to get these people for votes. A lot of people think that's the thing. They want.
Okay, so now the idea of getting these people for votes, I have bad news for you. This is where shit gets real conspiratorial. Like, this thing that Trump is about to say, I've looked into the data. I went to Pew Research. They ran the numbers. Only if we deported every illegal immigrant right now, 3 states total would lose 1 seat total from their total census numbers. And those states are California, Texas, and Florida. The idea that illegal immigrants are somehow going to make it easier to vote for Democrats to get votes just doesn't hold up. It does not make sense with the actual data. It is based on great replacement theory, which has its origins in an anti-Semitic conspiracy theory.
Want to get them for votes. But the destruction, the damage that Biden's done to our country by having
Please indicate what policy he did that damaged the country in this way.
16, 17 million people already in. It's much more than they say. It's probably.
These numbers are wrong. What he's saying is wrong. It's fucking terrible.
17, it could be even higher than that, in our country. And these are not people that are going to make America great again. These are people that have a lot of issues. And
substantiate these statements, these vast generalizations.
We're going to have a lot of issues as long as they're here, and we're going to get them.
Our data indicates that illegal immigrants commit less crime than naturally American-born citizens.
Out. We have to get them out.
Mr. President, I got the 10-minute warning from the team, which is now 8-minute.
Let's let him go a little longer. It's fine. I like it. Is that okay? Yeah, let him go a little bit longer, okay? Look at these two guys. And then it'll turn out to be a lousy show, and I'll say, you were right, Jason. It'll be good. So go for another 20 minutes. Is that all right? Go. Okay, go ahead.
Thank you, Jason.
It seems to be a nice flow.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Let's go.
Well, you did reality TV.
I'll be in trouble with my people. Like Biden says, I don't have that problem. But, well, first of all, he would never, he couldn't do this interview. You asked him questions like this?
No, we were talking about that. We were like,
we'd like to extend the invite to Joe Biden if he'd like to come on this podcast.
Yeah, I think.
Logan Paul, I respect that you did that. I respect you not totally shilling. However, if Biden does come on your program, which, by the way, Biden, I'm going to encourage you to go on Logan Paul here. A thing I would never normally encourage anyone to do. Not that Joe Biden hears what I'm saying. I got to hand it to Logan. He is a capitalist, and he's viewing this as a capitalist way. I myself am not a capitalist, but I respect that he is capitalist enough to at least extend it to him. But if Joe Biden comes on and he doesn't softball him the same way he is softballing the shit out of Trump, these are like this is a very softball interview. You have to understand that they are not digging in for any sort of journalistic value.
I think you should. You know what chance you have of getting him on? I'd say less than 1%. Okay, if you did that, it'd be interesting. I'd actually watch that one.
Dear Biden, please do Logan Paul. I don't ask you for a lot, except for forgiveness of student loans. But please go on Logan Paul. I can't believe those words are leaving my mouth.
Okay, see how long it lasted.
So there are two questions I have to ask
Go
you.
ahead.
The first one's kind of fun. Aliens. I want to talk to you about aliens.
Yeah.
UFOs, UAPs.
I know.
The disclosure we've seen in Congress recently. It's confusing and upsetting a lot of Americans because there's something happening. There are unidentified aerial phenomena.
Will he say something? Actually, let's put it up on the. Will he say something insane? Will he say something? Will he say anything at all? Will he give a non-answer? Will he confirm aliens? Let's find out.
Phenomena in the sky. We don't know what they are. Do you?
So it's such a question I do get a lot, and it's such an interesting question. I've met with pilots that look just like you, actually. Okay, they have more of a crew cut. Okay, they look like him and they look like you. Some of them look like you,
A little fatter.
but these are perfect people.
Okay.
And they're not
crazy.
conspiratorial. They're not crazy.
Yeah.
And they tell me stories that they've seen things.
Yeah, but like you're the president. Why are you telling us this story about? Have you seen any documents or not? Have you seen documents or have you not?
That you wouldn't believe. These are not people that you would say, gee,
No way.
oh, that's
No way.
okay.
President of the United States.
But
I said, was your
Who
phone
is it?
silent?
That's Joe Biden wanting to do an interview. So I met with pilots like beautiful Tom Cruise, but taller.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Handsome, perfect people. Sir, there was something there that was round in form and going like 4 times faster than.
But so he's never looked into. So either he's never looked into if they are classified documents, or he just thinks that this is a more compelling story. Which, by the way, when I was selling insurance, this is essentially how they tell you to sell insurance. Like you have a story about someone you knew that needed insurance. And the thing about that is that story does not have to be true. Insurance is heavily regulated. You cannot say one even remotely false statement about the policy itself. That's illegal. But there are no rules that say, hey, talk about some made-up cousin who couldn't get burial insurance to put their dad in the ground. So if this is a thing he could get in trouble for actually revealing any like classified information for. Instead, you say, well, I've heard from pilots. Like I don't know if he's actually talked to any fucking pilots at all. Like, because like if he would think to ask pilots about UFOs, then you would think that he would look at what government documentation we had on it said.
Than my super jet fighter plane. And I look at these guys and they really mean it.
Yeah.
And am I a believer? No, I can't say I am. But I have met with people that are
classic sales. He doesn't want to look crazy for believing in aliens, but he does want to pitch this in a way so that it's emotionally compelling to people who do believe in aliens. Classic.
serious people that say there's some really strange things that they see flying around out there. And if you go to Nevada and you look at that little section of where they go to look at the aliens, where they think all the aliens are landing, that it's I think it's maybe the #1 tourist attraction in the United States.
Roswell?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Roswell. I think it's the #1. It's the lines of people waiting. You have no idea how many times I'm asked that question.
But don't you have access to that information?
I have access, and I speak to people about.
That's actually the best question that Logan Paul has asked the entire interview. We can see which issues actually matter to Logan Paul. It's aliens.
about it. I've had actually meetings on it, and they will tell you that.
By the way, Trump's spray on tan is very apparent by the fact that his ear, if you look closely, is a different shade than the rest of his goddamn face.
There's something going on. When they say things,
oh my God,
things are going
forward. It is not even blended well. Like, you can see the very, like, oh my God, like, hold on. You can see, for those of you who are watching this with video, I'm drawing on the screen here. You can see like where the spray tan ends on his face. And oh my God, why does he even do it at this point? Like, it's got to be spray on, because it's like, I don't even know how you would tan only that part of your face. Like, wild.
4 times faster than my beautiful top of the line airplane that goes, real fast.
With no identifiable propulsion
Mach
system.
2,
Yeah.
right?
These things are creating their own gravity fields, allegedly.
Well, they have.
You don't have to say allegedly for that, Logan. You're not making a legal claim.
People that are very smart and very solid have said they believe there is something out there. And, it makes sense that there could be. I've never been convinced, even despite that. I just, for some reason, it's not my thing. But a lot of people believe that it's true. A lot of very good, solid people believe it's true.
What? And
I know there are illegal aliens out there, but those are the ones that come through the border. We have plenty of them. Those are the ones I know. When you say aliens, I say, are they illegal aliens? These might be illegal, but we don't want to test them.
Yeah.
Because if they can go 4 times faster, we're not going to test them. So it's an interesting question.
Yeah, for sure.
Is there a chance that one of these orgs is potentially hiding information from you about aliens?
I guess so. It's you have the deep state, and you do have a deep state, and certainly
They want to believe in aliens so fucking bad.
they could. But I don't think on this subject. I was interested in it because I've been asked so many times, and I talked to people that have said that they've, it was a sighting, and it's very believable. It's very possible that there is something. And why wouldn't there be? You take a look at the universe and you see all of the different planets, and you see this, look, here we are on one relatively small planet. Why wouldn't there be on a planet that's, 400 times the size? Why wouldn't there be somebody? It's certainly believable to me.
The thought of it freaks me out. It's weird to think that we potentially are only the source of life in like an infinite, ever expanding universe. But technology.
But they'd never be able to take you in a fight.
No chance.
I'll bet on you.
No chance. Send me in.
I'll bet on you.
Send me in. Send me in, my brother. We'll handle it.
That's a good team.
And if we don't come back, I'm sure people will be happy about that too.
The two of you will come back and say hello. Say hello to him, by the way.
I will.
He's a great guy.
Maybe Elon could get you guys there. You a fan of Elon Musk?
I think Elon might be good for this question. He's a terrific. I looked at the ship that went up, the spaceship, and I never saw this before. I saw this is like 2 years ago. I see the motors coming down, the engines coming down, no wings, no anything. And I say, what is going on?
Yeah.
And nobody ever saw that before. And if you didn't have him, you probably wouldn't be seeing it, And I called him, I said, what's that? He says, well, we want to be able to reuse the engines. I said, they don't have wings, they don't have anything, and they're landing on a platform in the middle of the ocean. I said, how cool is that? I thought I saw it all, but that was, no, he's a spectacular guy.
Well, I mean, between PayPal, Neuralink, Starlink, Tesla, SpaceX,
and other things.
Yeah, he's probably one of the greatest minds of our generation.
AI, very big,
He didn't invent those things. He paid for those things. There is a very distinctive difference.
Well, that's what I wanted to ask about. Yeah. It was the second question because, technology is improving at a rapid pace.
That's right.
At a pace humanity's never seen before. And the most recent development in technology that is alarming but also cool is artificial intelligence, AI.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be eventually to a point where we're not able to tell what's real and what's fake. The era of truth, I believe, is probably slowly and
They're about to talk about Donald Trump getting deep faked for 5 minutes.
fortunately coming to an end, unless you come with receipts. What do you think the government's role in enabling, protecting, or governing AI should be in general? Should this superpower become what we believe it probably will be?
Well, it is a superpower, and you want to be right at the beginning of it, but it is very disconcerting. I said, you used the word alarming. It is alarming when I saw a picture of me promoting a product, and I could not tell. The voice was perfect. The lips moved perfectly with every word. The way you couldn't, if you were a lip reader, you'd say it's absolutely perfect. And that's scary. In particular, in one way, if you're the president of the United States and you announce that 13 missiles have been sent to, let's not use the name of a country, we have just sent 13 nuclear missiles heading to somewhere, and they will hit their targets in 12 minutes and 59 seconds. And you're that country, and there's no way of detecting. I asked Elon, is there any way that, like Russia or China, can say that that's not really President Trump? He said there's no way.
They'd have to rely on secondary first alert.
You would. I believe we do have programs to detect deep fake technology. Oh shit! It's almost 2 o'clock. Let's just get
No, they have to rely on a code that if you don't have a certain code, who the hell's going to check? You got like 12 minutes. And let's check the code. Gee, how's everything doing? So what do they do when they see this, right? They have maybe a counterattack. It's so dangerous in that way. Okay. In another way, it's so incredible that what they do is so incredible. I've seen it. I just got back from San Francisco. I met with incredible people in San Francisco, and we talked about this. This subject is hot on their plates, the super geniuses. Yep. And they gave me $12 million for the campaign, which, 4 years ago, they probably wouldn't have. We had thousands of people on the streets. You saw it. It just happened this last weekend. Yep. I met with incredible people, actually. And this is this is what everyone's talking about with all of the technology. These are the real technology people. They're talking about AI. And they showed me things, but I've seen things that are you wouldn't even think it's possible. But in terms of copycat, now, to a lesser extent, they can make it.
I don't care what he has to say about deepfake.
I had a speech rewritten by AI out there, one of the top people. He said, "Oh, you're going to make a speech?" Yeah. He goes, click, click, click. And like 15 seconds later, he shows me my speech.
That's crazy.
Written.
That's crazy.
So beautifully. I said, I'm going to use this sucker. I'm going to use, I've never seen anything like it.
What'd you say to your speechwriter after that?
You're fired.
You're fired.
Yeah, I said, "You're fired, Vince. Get the hell out of here." No. This was so crazy. It took it, and it made it unbelievable. And
Trump using Chat GPT to write a speech. Don't care.
It's and so fast. You just say,
I do believe your team and I want to shoot a TikTok with you.
"Oh, that's good." I'm on TikTok.
We saw your first video, 120 million views. It blew up.
We have a lot of views. I don't know how many, but it was a lot. We did it with Dana.
You went viral.
And we were sort of getting ready to walk into the arena, and there was a lot of crowd, and there wasn't a negative voice in the whole house. It was pretty amazing.
Let's do it again.
I want to respect your time.
Must have been a different fight that Bill Burr's wife was at then.
I'd like to grab a couple photos, shoot this TikTok.
Absolutely.
120 million views on the way.
Absolutely.
But thank you for joining us on Impulsive, Mr. President.
It's an honor to be with you. You guys are great.
Yeah.
And good luck with your book over here. That's important stuff.
Thank you so much.
An incredible job you did to get out of it, right?
If you're ever bored on a
He hasn't even read the book yet.
plane to Tuscaloosa or something, you want to give it a
Oh,
read.
I'm going to be reading it. I think it's such an important one of the most important subjects, actually. It's great that you did it.
Thank you
Ladies
so
and
much.
gentlemen, thank you for watching this episode of Impulsive. With Donald Trump, Mr. President. We love you. Hit that subscribe button. We'll see you next time. Take it easy. Peace.
Oh, fuck. All right, so that was a thing that I witnessed. It wasn't as funny as that. I was hoping it would be funny. like, but no, it's just Logan Paul giving a softball interview to Donald Trump where they talked about fucking nothing. They didn't, the thing they pressed him on the most was aliens, and which he managed to fence sit his ass through that whole conversation. They didn't get a real answer out of him about Gaza. He just talked about how everything would be better if he did it. He inflated some numbers. He lied about inflation. I don't even think he just makes up numbers. He just makes them up. A lot of prime drink ad placed, a lot of prime drinks just placed all higgledy-piggledy. Wow. Okay. And then there was that douchebag who I guess I'm glad to imagine that guy's walking around making bullshit like this while some other poor people have lost their family members and loved ones. It's who gets killed by heroin is totally random and unfair. But anyways, I can't end it on that note. I can't believe I'm going to say this, but Biden, please go on the stupid Logan Paul show. People like Logan Paul have an unfortunate amount of influence on the youth. Motherfucker has 4.63 million subscribers. Most of them are young, and some of them might actually be able to vote. So as much as I do not like Logan Paul, I encourage you, Mr. President, to go on Logan Paul. The show, I believe, is called Impulsive. Yeah. And just remember, they recently found forever chemicals in Prime energy drinks. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this, please like and subscribe on YouTube or follow at whatever your favorite podcast distributor is. If you would like to contact the program, you can email me at rubenuncut@gmail.com. You can also like, comment, share the YouTube, maybe ring that bell. Whatever's good for the algorithm, I encourage you to do it, because that's where society is now. Well, anyways, thank you for tuning in. Have a wonderful whatever, wherever, whoever you are.